The biggest War Games match in WWE is official and it's stacked. Look at that lineup there. On the face side, we've got WWE Champion Cody Rhodes, we've got the World Heavyweight Champion CM Punk, Roman Reigns, all on the same team with this year's Royal Rumble winner, main event Jey Uso, along with Jimmy Uso as well, going against The Vision. Of course, that is Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed. And technically seems like Logan Paul is a part of this group now as well. We've got Drew McIntyre and the Beast incarnate, Brock Lesnar as well. Look at those 10 names they mentioned there for War Games. Will it be the biggest War Games match ever? By name value, there is a lot of potential there. There certainly is a lot of potential. I'm sure there are some better matches currently out there. We've not even seen this yet, so we can't judge it in that way. But certainly, looking at that lineup, NXSteve, that looks like it's got a lot of potential to do a lot of good things come Survivor Series.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just trying, like, they obviously try to balance these out, and you kind of have, like, you've got your established tag team, which obviously for the faces is the Usos, and then for the heels is, I suppose, Braun and Bronson. You have your powerhouses, which is Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar. Then you normally have a high flyer, and I'm like, Punk and Cody aren't really high flyers. And then, as I say, Logan Paul is your high flyer, and then you usually have a technician. And again, I suppose Punk might be a bit of a technician.
Yeah.
But then Drew McIntyre's not a technician. So I don't know. It feels like they almost did perfectly balance these teams out in a way. But in terms of name value, aside from maybe Jimmy Uso, it probably is the best you could have made. Because I think, like, Jay's obviously had a great year for him, like winning the Rumble, becoming world champion, having one of the hottest entrances in the company, in the business. So yeah, he's up there. Jimmy just seems a bit kind of, you're in it for the sake of being in it, and we couldn't get anyone else.
There could be that vibe. I think Jimmy's there for story value. I mean, if you're going to go with name value, yeah, I think John Cena in Jimmy Uso's place, that would have probably been one of the most stacked teams in War Games history. I don't know if you could ever top that. But I mean, having the likes of CM Punk, Cody Rhodes, and Roman Reigns on the same team just seems unbelievable. I can't think of a stronger face team ever in history. And let's say Jey Uso's had an unbelievable year. The stuff that's been going on with Roman, Jey, and Jimmy, the last time they were all in a ring together was Crown Jewel after Roman lost to Bronson Reed. And of course, he said, look, people think I can't do S-word on my own. So he said, I don't want to see you guys till Christmas, but he's back now and he's on War Games team with these two. So that could be a very interesting dynamic. Last year's War Games as well, Punk and Roman had the most viral moment where Roman stopped Punk from coming out of the cage for him to go out himself. Cody Rhodes is a veteran when it comes to these things by now. It seems like that War Games, obviously his dad has been very famous for these games, War Games matches, so he needs to be involved in them as well. When you look on the other side, look, these names that are involved in here, stars of the future, Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed, you can really see they have broken out. I mean, already Bronson Reed looks to be now a potential favorite now in amongst the John Cena last time is now a tournament. Don't think he's winning it, but certainly think he's a favorite in there. He's had a championship match against Cody Rhodes on SmackDown. It just goes to show, a month away from Seth Rollins, he's in a title match. Braun Breaker is waiting for a World Heavyweight Championship match. It's going to happen. In fact, a world title reign is happening. It's going to happen. It's just a matter of when, not if. Look, Brock Lesnar, whether you love him or you hate him, name value in there. And you know that the idea of him being involved in this match is going to cause carnage. Him in a cage is just, it sells itself. UFC background, WWE, a guy that's ended the streak, multiple time championship runs for sometimes over 500 days. You know that this guy will carry his weight in gold when it comes to the match itself. And of course, yeah, Drew McIntyre and Logan Paul. Logan Paul is the spectacle. He's the viral guy. He is the one, of course, arguably one of the most famous people outside of the company that people would have heard of. He will do something death-defying off the top of that cage in War Games that will make War Games the spectacle. He did it for the Royal Rumble. He's done it on other matches in the past. He will do it again here, and he'll find that spectacle moment that'll be probably the highlight of the night, if you want to put it that way. Drew McIntyre, for me, I didn't think he was going to be back. I thought he was reportedly meant to be filming this film Highlander. That's not the case, so he's now back in. Clever little turn that Paul Heyman used to use this suspension to bring him back in very so quickly. And the fact that him and Logan have been sort of teaming anyway. But Drew is the guy that has the issue with Cody Rhodes. So it makes sense for their championship feud to continue past Survivor Series as well. There's just so many great little ingredients that are involved in this match that arguably I can see why WWE says that this could be the biggest War Games match in WWE history. It is a stacked lineup, and I think it's one of those ones as well where I said there are some established names there, but there are some names that potentially are building, some that could be stars of the future. And I think that's when you're going to look back at this match in 5-10 years from now and you go, damn, this really was stacked. You know, when everyone, you see that the first tweet on Twitter that people put on X these days, when you want to sort of get yourself a few likes, you've just made yourself an account, you show that roster of the 2008 group and say, God, that was a stacked roster. And everyone likes it because everyone goes, it's a fun time. A lot of people now grew up with the end of the Ruthless Aggression, start of the PG era, and all have fond memories of 2008. Well, for this one, I think this is where you look back at this in sort of 5-10 years time and say, damn, the star power in this match, this is probably the greatest War Games match of all time.
Look, at the end of the day, it's got to pay off. If it don't pay off, do you know what I mean? Like, I'm always going to argue that 2019's War Games with Keith Lee, Kevin Owens, Dijak, Ciampa versus the Undisputed Era, for me, that's the War Games you have to top. That's the one you kind of have to sit and go, like, that's the story narrative, the KO surprise, everything. That's the one for me that you've got to kind of escalate. I don't personally like War Games since it's become to the main roster, in terms of that. I don't think you need 5-on-5, 4-on-4. I think is a perfect balance for it. I think it makes some of the matches unnecessarily longer. I don't think they've had a good one since it's come to the main roster. I think they've had some entertaining moments from it. But, like, I'll go back to I think it was last year's one with Nia Jax in it, and she was horrific. She was throwing chair shots at Naomi or whoever, and it looks like she'd never wrestled before. So I'm still waiting for that NXT version of a War Games match. This obviously has the potential to do it. You're right, the card is stacked. And like you said, if you go 10 years, 5 years, 3 years in the future, you're going to be like, man, that is just such a, like, pumped roster. Because I imagine in 3 years' time, Cody probably won't be wrestling anymore. Punk won't be wrestling anymore. I very much doubt Brock will be wrestling anymore. Roman may not even be wrestling anymore. Jimmy and Jay are getting on. Like, at that whole card, the only ones that may still be around is probably going to be Braun Bronson, Logan, and possibly Drew. So that's half that card that's in about 3 years' time is probably going to be retired. And, yeah, like I said, it has the name power, but for me, it has to deliver on the night because, look, how many times have we seen, like, Royal Rumble lineups where you've had 30 fantastic Royal Rumble like competitors, but then the Rumble flops because it's just not that entertaining. Like, there's nothing to it. It's one of them things. It looks fine on paper, but it's genuinely in the ring where it's got to deliver.
Absolutely. Look, big can be great, but the thing is what you do with it is what counts. Do you know what I mean? That's the most important thing. Like you said, when you go to mention those NXT ones, look, name value, politely, it's not going to match to what this has. Yeah. But in quality wise, it's certainly delivered on the night, and some of them have been memorable, probably more memorable than some of the main roster ones we've seen so far. So I would agree with that sort of comparison of NXT War Games has been better than Survivor Series War Games if you compare the two. But this one here does feel like it's got a lot of potential, and I'm excited to see the prospect of what we're going to get from it, especially after what's been a very busy week in WWE. We've had a really sort of a lot of talking points, which I thought was why a Q&A was really important this week. I actually put a vote out, actually, because Eric Douglas is one of the comments that's come in, said, no preview for Full Gear. Well, it didn't win the vote. There was a vote out. Which one did you want tonight? And this was the one that won, was the Q&A. So with Full Gear, you are getting it, but you're getting a shorts format. That's pretty much what was voted, and so I'm going to go with what the subscriber count gave us. But going back into War Games and obviously Survivor Series in general, the card is looking pretty good overall. Obviously, we've got John Cena in action, his final PLE. He's going to get Dominic Mysterio once again, another rematch for the Intercontinental Championship. We'll be talking about that in a few minutes. So let's get a graphic up there for you as well. We know we've got Stephanie Vaquer as well. We'll be going against Nikki Bella on this show as well. Of course, Nikki turning heel on Vaquer recently. And Women's War Games will be taking place, but we don't know the full 5-on-5 as of yet. We know 4-on-3 technically at this particular moment. Obviously, the heel side, we've got the Kabuki Warriors, Asuka and Kairi Sane, the women's tag team champions as well, nonetheless, teaming with Nia Jax and Lash Legend. And they will be going against confirmed Rhea Ripley, Io Sky, and Alexa Bliss. Charlotte Flair sort of walked away from it last Friday on SmackDown, but seemingly entered herself back into it on Raw, but not been confirmed as of yet. AJ Lee return on Monday Night Raw, Madison Square Garden, or a show that was full of returns. My goodness, it was a big night, which mentioned Roman Reigns, Brock Lesnar, just to name a couple of them as well. And Rhea wants to talk to AJ Lee, which sort of suggests that AJ Lee could be the 5th person if Charlotte Flair goes back in as well. Suggests Becky Lynch could be on the heel side as well, because Becky's going to want to have something to do with AJ Lee, I think, after losing the Women's Intercontinental Championship. So all in all, it's looking like it's going to be a very busy time at Survivor Series this year for War Games. Some of it may feel thrown together, of course, like it always does with these cage matches, and I would argue that can happen across the board a lot of the time with all companies. But at the same time, when it comes down to it, I think this is going to potentially be a fun show, and I'm looking forward to doing the full-on predictions next week.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong, some of the singles matches are probably too predictable. Like Cena Dom is predictable. Vicaire Nikki Bella is predictable. For me, it ultimately is about the 2 War Games matches, and I'm just going to say it again, you've got to get them right. You've got to get the entrant order right, because if Nia Jax comes out first again, or second like she did last year, you're just going to stink the crowd up. She needs to be like number 5. Don't give her 20 minutes in the ring, because it didn't work last year. So she needs to be the 5th entrant. I worry about Jimmy and Jay, either of them starting the War Games match, like, just because you've got, I think there's like, what is it, 5 minutes before the next entrance comes in, then it's like 3 minutes for every entrant after that or something, and it's like, okay, well someone's got to carry a match for 5 minutes, and look, Jimmy and Jay, look, they don't have the best track record at carrying matches. So, like, again, it's you've got to get the right order out there, and it's like, who starts? I mean, Roman Brock really probably should start, but again, it's just finally tweaking that order. But then again, if Brock starts, what's the point in the other 4 coming in? I think Brock's just going to manhandle every single one of them as they come in. So it'll be fun to see how they book it. It's just a case of, look, this ain't exactly been the greatest year for WWE, and the men's match is probably the only thing I'm mostly looking forward to, because I think the build for everything else has been lackluster or underwhelming. Like, the women's one is thrown together the Monday before, like, the 2 Raws before the actual show, whereas the men's one kind of has like a lot of history in terms going back months, even years with some of these people. So there is a lot more to it. Nikki Bella versus Vicaire, I don't think should be on this card. I think it's an insult to Vicaire, to be honest with you. The fact that they literally told us what was going to happen, and it's like, I'm sorry, there is dumbing down your product for like easy viewing audience, but that's just ridiculous. The fact that you basically told us what was going to happen, and then Dom versus Cena, although it's great, the fact he's just had 2 matches against Dom in a singles and a triple, like a 6-man tag match. He had 4 shows left, and 3 of his matches are against the same person. I think it's just underwhelming. Like, again, we can go on about Cena's run this year as well, and it's just, I'm put it this way, I'm hopeful that the card surprises me, and it's a really good show, because I don't have a lot of hope for it at the minute, because it's just a very easily booked show, probably more than anything. Like, it's just so easy to go, right, well, we'll put this person versus this person, we'll do this versus this. So yeah, it's just one of them ones, man, where it's like, I don't want to be downbeat and miserable about it, but like, it's such a lazily booked show that I don't have a lot to be excited for unless they can deliver in ring, and they've not been good at that recently. So it's a case of waiting and seeing, really.
Fair enough. I mean, for me, I could dive into all of that, because I feel that there's a lot to unpack with that, but I feel that would take away from our Survivor Series predictions. So I'm going to politely put it to the side, because we can take the conversation next week, I feel, because for me, I feel there's some hype with it, and I do feel that I feel there's some pros to doing those matches, but also would agree with some of the Cena stuff. I feel that we're not going to get a lot of matches left with Cena, and a lot of matches that we could have had this year been left off the table. And I think that's certainly a video that could be looked into in the future as well. But we have a Q&A going on as well, and we did promise, and there's a lot of questions come in as well. So we're going to get into a lot of those in a couple of minutes. But I mean, when it comes to this, also, what's next? And I'm going to just talk about this men's War Games match quickly of what's next. I mean, there's a lot of potentials there of what can be next and why I think the ingredients work so well together. Logan Paul wants a World Heavyweight Championship match against CM Punk. That's probably something that's going to happen further down the line. It could perhaps help the heels perhaps in victory to build some momentum. Drew also the same with Cody Rhodes because he's been kind of screwed up a couple of matches. Helps the heels as well. Brock Lesnar, like you just said there, I think he's going to take on Cody Rhodes, but maybe he's going to take on Roman Reigns again. They've kind of teased the idea of both matches there, and they're both all on this WrestleMania sort of advert that's gone on with CM Punk as well. So that's another thing to keep in mind as well. Are we looking in Fatal 4-Way territory? Who knows? We'll have to wait and see. It's all sort of playing different ingredients of what can happen. Braun and Bronson are 2 stars in the making and certainly got a lot to gain from this. And I do think they will be in and around with CM Punk as well on that road to WrestleMania before potentially maybe we get a Seth Rollins make a return, whether that's going to be a match or not. Now time will tell depending on Seth's injury time frame. But and like we said, the ingredients we have there as well with the faces, we have the likes of Cody Rhodes there, CM Punk, Roman Reigns, all on that same team. I'm interested in the dynamic of the bloodline with Roman, Jay, and Jimmy. Can that lead to a triple threat match down the line? Because there is some tensions there. I think Jimmy's in this match because he's got the potential to be someone that could actually, if they do a triple threat match, win and get to that level because of the fact that Jay currently is on a higher pedestal. He's got that push. Roman is the tribal chief. Jimmy's kind of just been left behind by everybody. There's got to be an excuse to try and push him up the ladder. And I think that's why he's in this, being personal. And he's got a lot of fanfare and support right now. Obviously going to become a father as well. A lot of people loved all that was going on as well with him and Naomi. So I don't know. I just think there could be a feel-good thing with Jimmy going on down the line. So I think there's a lot of variables. I think there's a lot of things to be excited for. And I'm gonna keep that because like you said, ultimately it's how the match is booked. But we're not there yet. So I don't need to worry about that part until we get to the show. In the moment, I'm going to look forward to what we got coming up.
Yeah, no, don't get me wrong. I agree with that. And like I said, it's hard to be enthusiastic about certain things with WWE when, I don't like saying it's lazy booking, but it is lazy booking. And I don't know, like Nikki Bella versus Stephanie Vaquer, was it on your bingo card for 2025? I very much doubt it was. I don't think anyone in the world would have predicted we were going to get that, especially at like War Games, like not even like a random pay per view like I don't know Saturday night's main event, which would have probably been I think a bit more fitting. I just think Stephanie Vaquer's booking since you won the title has just been very lackluster, and it's hard for me personally to be enthusiastic about certain things when I don't know. But like I said, the idea is great. It's just whether they pull it off or not. And look, how many times have we look famously? Let's go back to John Cena versus AJ Styles from a month or so ago. The most indie wrestling match you could ever have, and it was essentially plagiarism at its best, like just stealing everyone's finishes. Absolutely fucking loved it. Thought it was great. Thought it was entertaining, and it was so cheap and corny, not even cheap and corny, but it was so just unexpected, and it was still one of my most favorite matches to watch this year. So look, I have faith that WWE will surprise me. So I'm always, like I said, I'm not hesitant, but like I said, I am hopefully surprised by the end of War Games.
Let's hope so. I mean, it seems like your focus is on Vaquer versus Bella. Mine's on this men's War Games match. So I think that's where our hype goes different at the moment. But all I will say is, you said it's not on people's bingo card. Wasn't on January the 1st. I agree with you there. But certainly if you go and check the match card predicted for this, I did have this match on there. So I'm glad that it did make it into there. But that's for selfish reasons. Let's get into the comments of everybody because we need 20 minutes in and we've not taken a question. And we've got lots of people in here as well. And let's just say quickly, if you enjoyed the video, hit the like button, share with a friend, subscribe as well. It's your turn now. So get me your questions, your thoughts, your hot takes, your predictions, I don't know, anything you want to talk about. Just keep it clean, but we'll discuss it. CD is so hyped. He's like Mojo Rawley. So in fact, don't just like the video, hype the video as well. Get it out there for us. It would really help.
Can we please talk about your communications with me on Tuesday morning about Monday Night Raw? Because that was, dude, honestly, talking about being hyped. So obviously I'm an idiot and I like to stay up and watch Raw live because I wanted to know who the mystery opponent was. Zack Ryder is great, but Stevie, he said, I was like, I popped for it, and then I was like, I'm not as enthusiastic about where it goes, and then I thought about it, and I thought, yeah, do you know what? I think, do you know what I mean? There is potential to do something really good with having Zack Ryder back, and the fact that you sent me a GIF of the Hype Bros, and I was like, oh my god, how do I not spoil this for you and tell you that that is the most perfect gift you could have ever picked for who that surprise opponent was going to be? I was genuinely dying of laughter inside. I was like, yes, the Hype Bros is the correct answer.
I mean, I had to be so patient to watch SmackDown. I've never had to wait so long to find out a mystery opponent. It was actually really hurting to know who it was.
Oh
but
yeah,
it's
so
been fun to
SmackDown,
know.
not Raw, yeah.
Yeah, that's fine though.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the thing is though, now that Zack Ryder's made a return quickly, can we just get LA Knight and Zack Ryder as a tag team? The Night Riders.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah,
It's been going
definitely.
around on the socials. It needs to be done.
Yeah, I sat there and thought about it. Zack Ryder would have been such a good opponent, or even Matt Cardona would have been such a good opponent for John Cena this year. Just like, hey, there was a time where John Cena was doing the dirty on Zack Ryder when he was stealing his girl and stuff, and like he was confined to a wheelchair. There was history between them two that I think if they'd have played off of, especially when he was a heel, my God, would have been fantastic. You'd have got a pop from a certain like age of fans.
I think he certainly would have done indeed. But no, he did actually make name drops to some of these guys in a promo with CM Punk earlier this year. His own pipe bomb scene had when he mentioned Nick Nemeth and Matt Cardona. The only one that's not turned up that he also mentioned was Claudio Castagnoli, but I think we've run out of matches. I don't think that one's happening.
WrestleMania.
It's a shame. Yeah. To wait and see. We'll see these started off by saying Maxine Dupree won the Intercontinental Championship before Chad Gable. Talk about spoiling NXSteve's night.
Ah, my God. Speed champion, #1 contender, Maxine Dupree. Like, don't get me wrong, it's great for her. There are some people on this roster that have been around forever that don't get the opportunity to win titles, and Maxine Dupree is picking up IC titles. I think she's still really green, and I think that although it is great for her, and I'm happy that she won it, like I'm trying to sit like Michin. Michin is a great wrestler. Why can't Michin win the IC title? Like I don't get their booking. It just really baffles me. But like I said, I'm happy for her. I just get another one for the bingo card of the year. Maxine Dupree being Becky Lynch for the IC title. Would not have seen it coming.
I would not have seen it coming either. I didn't think it was going to happen, but I do have a reply, unfortunately. And sorry for any Michin fans out there, but Maxine Dupree's more over than Michin. Doesn't matter the experience or how good you are. Dupree's more over.
What? She's more over for what though? What's got her over? Doing exercise TikTok videos backstage with Otis and Akira Tozawa. Wow.
I don't watch. I don't watch.
If that's the case, I should be world heavyweight champion by now. Then
you got dancing videos on TikTok? I need this.
I have. Who knows?
For me, I'm not much on the TikTok, apart from when you can tell I'm not much on TikTok. I'm not on the TikTok, yeah, it's for me.
That's
like if I am
old.
Exactly, you can tell, can't you? But I'm only there to post my own content, then I'll switch off again. I'm never on TikTok by any stretch of the imagination. But what I can say is, from a Maxine Dupree standpoint, she's improved, and you can see that she's. You're right. She's green. She didn't have like a 15-year indie career before coming to WWE. Her first match ever was on a Monday Night Raw. Like, she was thrust in front of it. That's not her fault. That's the opportunity that was given to her. For whatever reason that WWE chose it to be, and she's improved over time, and fans have got behind it because it feels like a true underdog story, and they thought she would never beat Becky Lynch, and they wanted to see it happen. And the fact that it did happen in Madison Square Garden, my only nitpick, if I have anything, is I wish that AJ Lee hadn't returned before the match. I wish it happened after the match, just because I think it takes slightly away from Maxine's moment. However, I'm still very pleased with Maxine Dupree. I don't think she's going to be a long-term champion. I think she will drop the strap, but I thought it was a magical moment on Raw. I really liked it.
Raw after WarGames, I reckon I can see her dropping that title. I reckon Becky's going to challenge her back for it on the Raw, and she'll take that strap straight back. Yeah, I mean, like I said, it's great for her. I just, obviously the AJ Lee interference is there to protect Becky in the loss. Um, I honestly, I think Becky's been doing some of the best work this year, and I think the loss actually helps her because I think her character work is just getting better because of it, and some of the stuff she's been putting online this week, especially with like the New Day about like consulting a lawyer and governing bodies for professional wrestling in the state of New York or wherever it was, is just it's great stuff. So I look forward to seeing more of that stuff.
Saying that a lawyer had worked for 30 years and never seen such a travesty that had seen here. Yeah, just some brilliant stuff from Becky.
100%.
I agree with you. I think Becky will win the title back, and I think then she'll drop it to AJ Lee. Maybe a event yet to be confirmed. Maybe coming on a YouTube video very, very soon that may feel outdated, but we're going to try and put it back in so it doesn't feel outdated. But still, nonetheless, happy that Maxine got her moment. I think you're happy Gunther got his moment. He's got his own theme song back on Raw this past week in Madison Square Garden. CD praise for the wrestlers in the tournament. I think he could be right. Look, the spoilers seem to be out there that Gunther was winning this before we even got going. I can't see anyone else other than Gunther winning this tournament. I really cannot.
I reckon LA Knight's got a shout. I think LA Knight has got a real shout because I think LA Knight is a surprise. Like if he beats Gunther, I think there's an option. Like, and if you have LA Knight turn heel on John Cena in the final match, I think it's a great new direction for LA Knight, but I would not rule him out. But Gunther is probably going to win it. I cannot wait for him to be in front of a European crowd with that entrance music because it will be one of the best entrances of the year.
Cannot wait either. Copenhagen, are you coming, Gunther? Are you coming? Because I'll be there. I'm going to be there. Will you be there? I'll be singing along with that theme massively. I don't care if it's not on TV. We're going to make some noise in Denmark. I can promise you on that one. Look, Gunther's back. And I agree. LA Knight's a great shout, and I'd love to see that sort of fantasy booking you just thrown out there. I think that'd be awesome for his character direction moving forward. He would benefit. I know he's not a young gun, but he's someone that would really benefit to get into the title picture and stay there by beating John Cena in his last match. A lot of people are down on the idea of a Gunther win here and being the last match. My main reason for it is I think because it's been spoiled. That's the main reason I think that people got annoyed with it. But personally, I think the match makes the most sense, really, because Gunther, yes, he's a former world heavyweight champion, but could you imagine John Cena retiring without a match against Gunther? Are you mad? We need to have the match before he retires, surely. It didn't have to be the last one, granted, but if it's now or never, I'm taking now.
There's been loads of matches that John Cena should have had this year that he probably hasn't had, and Gunther ultimately, yes, is one of them. But I mean, I don't want to say it, but again, it probably is lazy booking because you want a way to bring Gunther back into the main roster. You're going to put him in this tournament. He's going to do well. He's going to probably beat John Cena in his final ever match because, that's how John Cena should really be going out, is losing his last ever match. Gunther just doesn't need the rub. I think for me, that's the biggest problem. Gunther doesn't benefit from it apart from retiring both Goldberg and John Cena in the same year. That's it. Like, he doesn't need to beat John Cena. He's already a 2-time world champion. Like, he doesn't gain anything from beating John Cena. Whereas, again, I'll throw him out there, Obafemi. If you want a way to introduce a new guy to the roster, put him in the tournament, have him proceed. Obafemi is going to be such a massive star. And you can tell that because he's already got the physique, he's already got the promo work, he's already got the in-ring work. If you wanted to put him on the big, if you wanted to announce him to the world, having a heel Obafemi beat John Cena would have done wonders for him. But I'm not going to complain. I think probably more than anything is Gunther's going to be able to carry John to a decent match, and I think that's probably the most important thing, is that Cena goes out on a decent high, because obviously he's famous for his 5 moves of doom. So it's kind of like you want something or someone that can at least carry him to a higher match without plagiarizing the entire roster's worth of finishing moves. So yeah, I reckon it's the right booking. It's lazy in a sense.
The reason it's lazy is because of the other competitors in the tournament. That's the problem. That's the problem. Like, not to be rude, but Rusev Not interested.
No.
Sheamus, I see the interest in it, but I would have actually preferred Cena versus Sheamus on Raw this past week in MSG. I thought that would have been a better direction than the 6-man tag, but there you go. Um, some of the others that were announced. I mean, Shinsuke Nakamura, when he was announced, was just like, well, he's not winning this. You just knew instantly. And all of a sudden now we've got these names thrown out now, like Penta at the last minute, where you think, okay, that's a match I'm interested in seeing. Bronson Reed, I'm interested, but like there's no Joe Hendry in this. There's no Austin Theory's mentioned further down here. I'm actually, why take the credit when I actually see Leo's mentioned it here? Leo, thanks for joining us. I'm disappointed with Austin Theory isn't a part when he could have benefited tremendously being a part of this and being there with the big names. Perhaps maybe he's talking about War Games as well. But I mean, either or, Austin Theory is a name that's been bantered around for both of those sort of things and hasn't got that sort of opportunity to come back and break through. Maybe he's not quite ready. I don't know what the situation is.
But the point is, though, is that Theory beat Cena at WrestleMania, didn't he?
He did, and then it didn't benefit him afterwards.
But that's what I'm saying. At least you would have had something worth in terms of story or narrative to tell if you'd have put Austin Theory in, because Austin Theory would have been like, I've already beaten him before. I beat him at WrestleMania, the grandest stage of them all. It would have just given him something interesting to use. Even if he'd have just got through the first round, been eliminated in the next, you would have made something of Theory and just would have given him, I don't know, a new dynamic. I mean, I wouldn't have even been against him beating Cena in his last ever match, because it would have almost been like, okay, let's reset you beating John Cena and start again and see if we can go somewhere else with it. But it obviously isn't going to happen. But like, there was just a story and a narrative that they could have told with them too.
There certainly is.
Zack Ryder. Zack Ryder, sorry, just to add, Zack Ryder, there's a history with Cena with him. Nick Nemeth, Dolph Ziggler, there was a history with Cena. Everyone that's basically lost had a history with John Cena, and they've put through none of these people.
Well, the thing is, no, they've not just not put through. The Rusev got through, but I mean, they've not really explained all the history with some of them either, which doesn't help. You know, if you can have the history mentioned. But I'm going to go back to. Sorry.
Rusev had a tank at WrestleMania. That's the history, from what I can remember of that rivalry.
Allegedly, he did something in that tank as well. Allegedly,
allegedly he did. Yeah.
Yeah. Good interesting. Yeah. No further comment. Just come back to Gunther quickly. Just going back to Gunther. You mentioned he doesn't need this. I'm just going to counteract this argument very quickly because I think he very much needs this. Yes, he's a 2-time former world heavyweight champion, but you know, someone that's really benefited from a victory that people said he didn't need was Brock Lesnar defeating The Undertaker, taking away his undefeated streak at WrestleMania. Because Brock was a couple of times world champion, but then was losing all these big matches on normally the WrestleManias to Triple H and at SummerSlams as well. And then all of a sudden, he beat The Undertaker at WrestleMania 30. And then he went stratus to literally the top of the mountain. He literally took John Cena to the Suplex City, dropped him to the mid card, and then was a champion for like 500 days. And ever since, arguably ever since, Brock Lesnar, every time he walks back into the company, even after hiatuses, goes straight back to the top of the card, whether you like him or whether you don't. I think Gunther is in the same position now because he's been losing all his big matches. Every time he goes to a WrestleMania, apart from WrestleMania 39 when he's IC champion, but WrestleMania 40, he lost to Sami Zayn. WrestleMania 41, he lost to Jey Uso. SummerSlam this year, he lost to CM Punk. He's always losing when it comes to the big stage and the big moment. Gunther needs to get this big win of momentum, someone like a John Cena, where he can just strap the rocket back to him so he doesn't fall down the pecking order. All of a sudden, he's actually got direction and momentum once again to go back for a top title. And maybe next time he just actually goes on this big stage and he wins and he continues to win after it because he's got that momentum back. It's all finding that magic moment. Brock had it with The Undertaker, and many said he didn't need it. I was included in that. I actually think in this moment, I think Gunther needs it.
Obviously, I'm going to yin your yang here, and I'm unfortunately going to put a damper on it. The fact that I think Gunther has been a victim of very poor narrative this year. I think that they've tried to do, end of last year, they tried to do the whole, he's lost his smile kind of shtick with Gunther, and it's like, it's Gunther. He doesn't need to lose his smile. He just turns up, he hits people really hard and wins matches. So I think he's just been a victim of really bad creative in over the year, and like you said, with his major pay-per-view losses, yeah, okay, sure, that probably needs to be addressed if you want to make him a serious contender. And you're right, beating John Cena and almost like say doing the Undertaker's streak at WrestleMania. This kind of is on that level, so I can see where you're coming from with that. But then I'll also argue that Brock Lesnar is a former UFC World Heavyweight Champion. Who is a legitimate badass. There is no point there. I wouldn't think that Brock could genuinely hurt every single person on that roster. So whether he was right or not to beat the Undertaker, I don't think he was ever going to suffer if he'd lost to the Undertaker. Put it that way.
Fair comment. The only thing I would say is he came in after winning the UFC title, and then he was going to go against John Cena. And I remember the feeling when he came back and started the night after WrestleMania 28, I believe it was. And I remember that feeling, God, Jesus, Brock's back, and it just feels more dangerous than ever because they really built him up. And like then they had these backstage, vignettes where it's like I'm an ass kicker, and would take people out. You just saw him just destroying people, destroying Cena, holding the UFC title up as well. He had the match with John Cena, and what did he do? He lost. And all of a sudden, I just felt like balloon, water. I just felt like his momentum just went. And like then he wins a couple of matches, but then he lost on the big occasion. And I do think Brock Lesnar would not have been Suplex City Brock without beating The Undertaker. It just wouldn't have happened, in my opinion. You could have turned it round, of course, in a different way, a different fashion, a different moment. If he just destroyed John Cena and never done The Undertaker thing, I'm sure it would have had the same outcome. But beating The Undertaker, that moment was the turning point. And I think here at this moment, John Cena needs someone. And if he's going to put someone over, and this is where you go back to the Austin Theories, by the way, you need to know that they're going to be able to capitalize on it. They're going to be able to deliver a good match, and they're going to benefit moving forward. Gunther does that. There's only one other person, in my opinion, in this tournament that does that also, and that's Bronson Reed. But right now, if you compare the two of them, Gunther is the way to go because Gunther's the guarantee to go back to the top. Bronson Reed hasn't won a world title yet. Yes, it would help him get to that level, absolutely. But he's also slowly finding his way as well into that direction. And as we mentioned earlier in this stream, apologies, I wanted to sneeze there. But yeah, I mean, ultimately, it's interesting how it's going to come out. I think that this tournament, for me, I think would have benefited seeing a lot more young guns in it. I was much more excited seeing Gunther versus Javon Evans this past week on Raw than I was seeing like Rusev in a match against Damian Priest, seeing Sheamus versus Nakamura. That stuff I was just like, I'm not that interested. Even Jey Uso versus The Miz wasn't a bad match. Still wasn't overly that interested in it. For me, I wanted to see like, where's the Grayson Wallace? You mentioned Obafemi. He would have been great. Little shout for Obafemi, by the way. You said about him having his breakout moment beating Cena. That dude's having a breakout moment because he's going to be one of the people on that show, and he's going to destroy a main roster talent on that show. And depending on who he's put in front of him, he could be making his name on that show as well.
I wouldn't be surprised if they almost do, like, because I know he's meant to be fighting Ricky Saints at Deadline for that NXT title.
Yes.
I wouldn't be surprised if they like do it again, but I think if anything, I think it's going to be the winner of the breakout tournament because that's supposed to be starting soon. So I don't know how long that's planning on going for, but I think if you do the breakout tournament winner against Obafemi at Saturday night's main event, I think that's a great way to do it. Well, it depends if Oba's got the title or not. Again, this is all one titles changing hands and stuff like that. But yeah, I hope he does. But again, what they say about the NXT talent being on that show is one thing, and them doing it is a completely another. But yeah, I forgot where I was going to go with my original tangent now. But yeah, that was the other thing I was going to ask. Javon Evans this week, because I know you obviously don't watch it live. If anyone did watch it live, please let me know if Javon Evans actually got his entrance, because I turned it off after the mystery opponent. So I didn't see if Javon Evans actually got his entrance. He got jobber in ring entrance from the edited version later on. So I'd like to know if he actually got a proper entrance on that show.
Yeah, I would have liked to have done a bit more with Javon Evans, just to build him up a little bit as well. Like just, rather than just, we got Javon Evans, he's a big starlet from NXT and John Cena's hiring him. Well, commentary will hear that, but I mean, I would like to have seen one or two of his video packages or a sit-down interview or something like that. You got a chance to go in Madison Square Garden, debut match on Raw, you're going against Gunther. Javon Evans, I think, will be on this show as well. The John Cena Saturday night's main event. Again, I think I've got him down as having one of those moments where he could be winning or he could be losing, getting that big handshake at the backstage with John Cena himself, the way that John got it also. I think Javon Evans will be that guy because reportedly John Cena is really high on Javon Evans.
I reckon they should. Well, this is what they should do: is they should redo the Javon Evans Leon Slater match for the X Division Championship on Saturday night's main event. If you want a way to showcase some talent, you put them two back in again because they were stealing the show. And we obviously got a dodgy finish, and obviously whether they win the tag team titles or not is a completely different thing. But hey, X Division Championship on a Saturday night's main event, why not?
It's interesting. It's different to what John Cena wants, but hey, I'm already for the feeling Leon Slater will be a future WWE superstar as well, so not against the idea. Noob and House, thanks Noob for joining us. We're doing well, thank you. Hope you are as well. We've got a lot of comments to catch up on. We've got a lot of questions from CD, but I want to share the love out a little bit as well. So let's get some more questions in from other people also. CD will come back to some of yours. You've got some bangers in there. Leo says, for a second, I thought Monday, I thought Liv was going to return and join the War Games when they teased that Charlotte couldn't deal with Rhea. But could Liv deal with Rhea? That's uncertain as well, to be honest. I'm not sure. I wasn't really buying it.
She got to deal with Roxanne Perez first before she deals with anyone else.
I agree with that there. It'd be interesting to see how and when Liv does return. Leo says, I think that's with Dom versus Cena. He actually goes on to repeat it here. I think Dom will win back the IC title from John Cena with maybe some Judgment Day shenanigans or help from Liv Morgan, but I don't want to see that because that would actually give her potential. Don't want to see it because it would, I'm guessing, harm her babyface return. I'm guessing it doesn't actually... Yeah. Possibly does. We'll have to wait and see with it. But at the moment, we'll ask the question because I know predictions are next week, but things can change between now and then. If you're seeing this match right here, right now, and it's the rematch at Survivor Series, is Dom winning that title back? Or is John Cena taking that IC title and losing it to the winner of the last time is now a tournament winner?
It's probably more 50-50 than anything. Like, I think that they're very... Obviously, everyone's really high on Dom, so the potential for him to win it back is a possibility. Does Gunther need to win the IC title for John Cena? I don't think so. So I think these are all things that kind of make it a bit more open. I'm going to personally wait till predictions because I think there's probably a bit more narrative to tell, and obviously you want to look at the go home math because that's always the thing. So I'd like to see that. But genuinely, I think it's 50-50. Cena could easily retire. Cena could bow out as IC champion, and then we get, I don't know, a tournament or something for a new one. Because, again, I don't think Gunther needs it. But, again, I can see Dom winning it back. And I think Dom beating John Cena for the IC title is a big deal for Dominic Mysterio.
Absolutely. It's crazy to think that John Cena has only 2 matches left and we know who they're going to be against. No one else is going to get in the ring with John Cena ever again after this. It's crazy to think.
I saw a TikTok video. Someone was complaining that JD McDonough was in John Cena's last ever match on Raw. And I'm like, man, the streets will remember JD McDonough. JD McDonough is great. Like, he's like a Dolph Ziggler. Like, the guy knows how to sell for people. He's a good worker, man. Like, I know obviously Dom and Finn have probably more of the name value, but JD McDonough's a solid wrestler. I'm like, why are you shitting on JD McDonough? What's he done, man? He's a good guy. He's a good wrestler. But yeah, man, I don't know. Some people just have weird fascinations with hating on certain people.
CM Punk even put him in. I'd put him over in the promo. If he turns up on his best night, he could beat me for the world title. So I mean, CM Punk is high on JD McDonough as well. And let's be fair, JD McDonough is an answer to a trivia question 20 years down the line from now, because who did John Cena pin on his final match on Monday Night Raw? JD McDonough.
There you go.
There you are. That's a highlight.
Absolutely. Do you know what? I think JD McDonough actually probably really appreciates that he was the last ever person he pinned on Monday Night Raw.
Absolutely. I don't doubt that for a second. Noob says Drew McIntyre, the reboot of Highlander. That's what I've heard as well, but I think filming now starts after Survivor Series. A lot of us thought that it was going to take place before Survivor Series. Leo thinks that Roxanne Perez will be the next Women's Intercontinental Champion, and that will lead to Roxanne and AJ Lee at Mania. Could see that. But we could do then Becky versus Jessica Carr at WrestleMania. I don't see that one.
It's Jessica Carr, the referee, isn't it? That dressed
in
the luchador mask.
Yeah, in Evolve.
Yeah, she can just about get on the Evolve card at the minute you want to book her on WrestleMania, Leo. Jesus. I don't think she's going to elevate herself that much in 4 months. But I tell you what, props to her if she can. If there's a women's battle royal, like a memorial battle royal thing, and she's in it, I will pop for it.
Yeah, yeah. I think there's too many names in the way. And just remember, Leo, if we get Becky versus Jessica Carr, where's Liv Morgan fitting on that card? It's just, you know, there's levels. There's levels.
Yeah.
You got to work it through.
Yeah.
Leo says, I think Jey Uso turns heel after War Games attacking Roman and Jimmy. I'd love to see it. I think there's certainly potential of that. There is a potential now that I could see something going wrong with the face teams, because before I've had discussions with people on different messaging services, and like they say to me, "Do you see a heel turn happening in War Games?" And for the longest time, I was like, "No, I don't. I don't know if it's the right time. I don't know if it's the right place." I actually feel like I actually now see Roman, Jimmy, and Jay in the same match at the same time here. If there was some miscommunication or something goes wrong again, I can see potentially something could happen. And look, Jey Uso is the perfect one if someone's going to turn heel in this match.
Yeah. Just whether they do it or not. Like we've been, how many times have we sat on heel turns for certain people and they just don't do it? And yeah, I think Jay needs it at this point because he's an entrance. And I think at least if you make him heel, it'll give him something interesting or something that I'd actually might want to see on TV. And we've obviously seen him as a heel tag team or part of a heel faction, but I'd like to actually see if he can do it as a heel solo style.
Absolutely, I'd like to see it as well. To be quite fair, I think it'd be quite interesting. I think it would suit him better, believe it or not, because I think he's been eating too much for starters. We've been over this. Yeah, the too many eats, and I think he's gassed out by the start of the match. So not having to do that, I think, would help massively. Remember this? Jey Uso had a 5-star match in a main event of a WrestleMania. Like, he's not that bad in ring as many people give him shit for. He's got that under his belt. Jimmy was with him in that match as well against. Well, it's not just you, but like, you know, it's a situation I think would just suit him better, because I think the way that he works as well, I think his style suits a heel better. That's just my feeling on it. I feel that, yeah, he's worked crowds and got them into a frenzy and done well as a face, but I don't think the match qualities have been as good. And I think I think a way of looking at it, look at Jade Cargill. Just look at Cargill. People have been crapping on as a baby face for about the last 2 years. Second she turns heel, her character, it just fits naturally. And then it just naturally transitions into the matches. Yes, there have been sort of squash matches so far, but that fits Jade, and it fits it, and it makes it work. And all of a sudden, you see a different presentation, and you think it clicks. And I think with Jay, it could be the same thing if he turned heel.
Yeah, I think the problem is that Jay essentially looks like he has done the entire time, and he's been a face and a heel so many times since they started doing this day one-ish stick, the Usos. The character's never really, like, it's never changed. He's never evolved. He's never, like, apart from like yeeting, he's never done anything to sort of change his character up and make it fresh. It's just Jey Uso, whether he's a good guy or a bad guy. So I think if they do turn him heel, I don't know, put him in $500 3-piece suits, man. Do you know what I mean? Tailored suits, and give him a decent pair of like Ray-Bans or something. Like, get rid of the silly ones with all the funky straps on it, and change his music so he hasn't got a yeet anymore. Just make him more interesting, because like he's just an entrance in a minute.
Would you align Jey Uso with Paul Heyman and have Paul Heyman then have a reason to go after Roman again, and then you can have then Jey actually wants to become the tribal chief, and you can play back into that storyline of the bloodline?
Yeah, just give. At this point, it's become the Don Callis family with Paul Heyman. He just seems to be recruiting everyone. But yeah, why not, man? Look, Paul Heyman is a great mouthpiece. I don't think the dynamic works with Braun and Bronson if you put Jay in there, because, like I said, Jay is a former world champion. It's kind of just replacing him with a subpar version of Seth Rollins if you put Jay in there, because of where he sits on the card. And I think if Bronson and Braun did that, like, do you know what I mean? If you put them in a group, but they're not a group essentially, so like it's either Heyman and Jay or Heyman and Braun and Bronson, not all four of them together at the same time, I'd be okay with that. I don't want to see all four of them together, because I don't think that would work.
Interesting. Do you think Seth Rollins is lying about his injury being 6 months, or is it and it's way sooner?
I mean, what's there to benefit by it being like he was already world champion? So I don't see the point in what does he gain by faking an injury if he's already world champion? I don't know. I don't see the point. I think it's legitimate. It may not be as long as what they say it is, but I think it is legitimate.
I think that's the question. Is he lying about the length of time he's out?
Yeah, possibly. Because
I think
obviously it will depend come Rumble time who's champion or not, and we may have a more of an inclination. Like I'm still dreaming of seeing Punk Seth Rollins night 2 WrestleMania, but unless Punk is champion at the Rumble, I can't see him returning the number 30 spot at all, winning. So
the thing is, I can see Seth Rollins lying about it being 6 months of how long he's injured for, because he likes the shock factor. He likes to think that he has the vision. He's ahead of the game with everyone. He did it with Money in the Bank cash-ins, obviously first WrestleMania 31, but obviously more recently at SummerSlam, and that was a fake injury at the time. I think this is a legit injury, but we don't know how long he's legitimately going to be out for. Just because he said the word 6 months out of his mouth doesn't mean we necessarily have to believe it. The Royal Rumble is where you kind of have that telltale sign, and where perhaps maybe things make the most sense, whether it will or won't. But with Saudi, it's going to be a lot harder to do surprise returns. So part of me thinks that could be quite difficult. So I'm going to throw a little bit of a curveball out, something we've not seen for a long time.
Yeah.
What if Seth Rollins returns at the Elimination Chamber in Chicago, attacks someone who's going into a pod, takes their spot in the match, and then wins it? And that then Seth can take on Punk at WrestleMania 42.
See, this is why I talk to you, because you come with genius ideas, because it makes sense in Chicago, of all places, for him to beat someone up, take their place in the pod. Essentially what Jade Cargill should have done last year with Naomi. But yeah, makes 100% sense. Have him replace, I don't know, Kofi Kingston, because for some reason they like throwing Kofi Kingston in these random kinds of matches. Just have him eliminate someone. It doesn't even necessarily have to be. It would probably make more sense for it to be Bron Breakker. As much as people want him in Chamber, and they want to see him spear someone for a pod, it would kind of make sense for him to take Bron Breakker out and then face Punk at Mania. But this is why I talk to you, because these are smart ideas.
I think for me, like, I love the idea of Bron Breakker, by the way, but I don't want to see the idea of Bron being hurt and then seeing him being weak. I don't know if he's the kind of guy that should be injured, if you know what I mean. He's the guy that injures people.
If you're shutting his midriff in the sliding doors of the Elimination Chamber, I think we can take that one.
Fair enough. Do you know who I'd like him to take out? AJ Styles on his retirement tour, to stop him getting a world title match at a WrestleMania. That way you can build Seth versus AJ after Mania.
Yeah, that's a really good shout as well, actually, to be fair. And then you ain't got to worry about AJ being in an Elimination Chamber match. He's good, people. He is good at this.
We'll see. We'll see what happens. Do you think that John Cena's IC title reign is pointless, with Dominic Mysterio most likely getting it back?
Fan service, John Cena service, and let's be honest, very smart booking by WWE, because like Raw, this week he won it, last week, whenever John Cena won it last week, it was like apparently he didn't big in the numbers for it, because it was obviously announced, or it was leaked ahead of time, that he was going to face him, and yeah, it did bits for him, and then obviously him coming out this week on it's very clever booking for TV purposes and viewership ratings.
Is no way that this title reign is pointless, because although everyone's going to look at it and say what it's done for John Cena, he's become a Grand Slam champion. He finally won the IC title. Let's not forget, it really has done wonders for Dominic Mysterio without people probably realizing, a lot of cases. Dominic was in the ring with John Cena on the mic, and he could hang with him.
Yeah,
people did not know that before that moment.
Well, yeah, but this is what I'm saying. Like, if you watch any like indie promote or independent interviews with wrestlers, the amount of people that blow the proverbial smoke up Dominic's ass because they think he's great and he's going to be a future WWE champion. Like, loads of people backstage know that guy's got it, and then it's almost like just reaffirming it by putting him in the ring with John Cena, being like, look, we know this kid's great. Now the rest of the world gets to see how great he is.
I completely agree, and I think Dominic Mysterio, dare I say it, has outgrown the Intercontinental Championship. He's had a fantastic run as champion. He's found ways to win all the time. He's now the Triple R Mega Champion. That is the top title in that promotion. That is giving him now experience of holding a world title, and I think Dominic's time as a world champion is coming in WWE. I have him down as someone that could win a Money in the Bank next year. If he was to win a Royal Rumble in the next 18 months, if he was to win it in January, I don't think people bat an eyelid. I think people support it and I think people get behind it. And I think people accept the idea that Dominic is a future world champion because he's shown he can hang. He can hang with the best that they've got. He's been in the ring with a CM Punk, not on TV, but he's done it on live events. But he's also been in the ring with Rey Mysterio. He hung very, very well, and it was probably one of the best storylines going into WrestleMania 39. He's hung with John Cena there, and in that defeat, that was probably one of John Cena's best and brightest moments of the John Cena retirement tour. And Dominic Mysterio will be remembered fondly for it. And it was in Boston. The heat the guy got, it did everything. It did everything. It ticked all the right boxes. So no, it's not pointless. And if Dominic wins it back, even though I think he's outgrown it, he's only going to carry on his stock further because he would have beaten John Cena. There's nothing negative for Dominic in this. The only negative thing is by doing arguably 3 different matches, which is losing the title, 6-man tag, winning the title back. Someone else has not got in the ring with John Cena that maybe should have done between now and the 4 final dates he had. We're not going to get to see John Cena versus Braun Breaker. We're not going to get to see potentially a John Cena versus either Penta, Bronson Reed, Gunther. Only one of those 3 potentially could win that tournament. 2 of them definitely winning. Maybe all 3 of them don't win it, and it's someone else. There were so many matches.
We could John Cena versus Edge.
Apparently, wasn't even asked Tony Khan if that was a possibility. Carmelo Hayes is someone from Boston who idolizes John Cena, is in that tournament, but there's no way he's winning it. There's just so many matches that they should have done this year, but they haven't done. And it's a shame.
I wouldn't be against Carmelo, you know. I think that's a really dark horse, like really left field wild bet because Carmelo Hayes has done shit all since being on main roster. And if you think anyone needs John Cena rub, Carmelo Hayes kind of is the one. And it makes a lot of sense. Like, I know as much as people would probably want to see Gunther, I think Carmelo Hayes is probably an equally just as good shot. I think, like I said, now I'm thinking about it, it's probably going to be Gunther, but I wouldn't be against seeing LA Knight or Carmelo Hayes against John Cena.
Wouldn't be against it, and I wouldn't be against Bronson Reed either, but I do think Gunther is the right call. Let's move on to women's war games. If I can get the comment up, here we are. Noob says the women's war games match build has no heat. The Asuka heel turn has been very warm, and the Kabuki Warriors winning the women's tag team titles was a wasted effort. Let's give fans a match between Asuka and Io Sky. It's been 2 months since Asuka turned heel, and she only wrote Rhea Ripley and Io Sky off of Raw after Crown Jewel. Okay, interesting comments. Interesting. And the thing is, I'm going to agree with something here that was said at the start of the video. The women's War Games match does not have the same amount of heat behind it. I'm going to agree with that. However, the idea of the match being just thrown together, I do disagree with. I agree if someone says, well, Lash Legend wasn't in the picture 3 or 4 months ago. Yeah, I'm going to agree with that. But Asuka's heel turn is the whole point around this match, and you could arguably put more people against the Kabuki Warriors because Asuka has got so much heat going on with everyone. You've mentioned Io Sky, you've mentioned Rhea Ripley. Obviously, the women's tag team titles was something that they wanted to focus on, and that brings Alexa Bliss and Charlotte Flair into it. Of course, that's been over the last few weeks, but certainly it's been going on for at least a month. Maybe that's not worthy of War Games, but that's WWE. And I've said this, all wrestling companies do this. They throw people together for these matches. They don't have naturally factions everywhere across the board, especially in the women's division because the rosters are a lot thinner. But when it comes to looking at Bayley, Lana Valkyria, there's problems with them as well. There's lots of different dummies of ways you can bring people in. I've said before, I think AJ Lee's coming in on the face side, who has no problems with any of the other 4 women, so that is thrown in together. But I think Becky Lynch is going to give some added star power that's much needed to this heel team, because the heel team does not have the same star power as the face team. So there's only one winner out of this match, it seems, in my personal opinion. But it's interesting. I'm going to say and lean on you at the start of the video, because I felt like you wasn't so warm about Survivor Series, and the reason why I was warm about it because it was the main topic of the video, was it's the men's War Games match. I understand when you look further down the card, not always as exciting. The women's match is going to have to deliver on the night, but of course every match has to deliver on the night, otherwise it's a letdown, however the hype or however the build. You mentioned yourself, but like, yeah, I wouldn't agree this match has been thrown together, but I think there are elements of it that they are rushing and throwing in at the last minute to make up the numbers.
For me, this almost feels like they're trying to build the women's tag division, because essentially it's really just been about it. Like, you obviously had Bliss and Flair have been tag team champions for ages and barely defended them. Then all of a sudden it's on the Kabuki Warriors. You have now have Nia Jax and Lash Legend for no reason, who are obviously apparently a tag team. Io and Rhea are going to be a tag team at some point. So I imagine at some point it's just to get Kabuki Warriors versus Rhea and Io for those women's tag team titles at some point, which they will probably win, and then it will probably go on to Rumble. And do you know what I mean? I think it's just it's just, I don't know. It's almost like that. I'm so used to them not caring about the women's tag team division, for then ultimately one of your most high profile matches of the year, War Games, to be built around the women's tag division just seems a bit weird. Like, everything else that's been going on, to be fair, yeah, like everything else that's been going on the show, in terms of like Becky and AJ, again, probably why they're in here, I think they're just making up the numbers, but it just seems like it's a women's. This should be a fatal 4-way for the women's tag team titles, it feels.
Yeah, I mean, I see your argument with that. For me, like, I see one of 2 arguments when it comes to this, because in one way I kind of agree with you, like, well, it's building the women's tag team titles rather than having some of the main focus. But at the same time, the women's tag team division does need some focus, and it's great to see it getting some focus. There've been people out there saying that the men's War Games match, before we've got what we've got, should have been the MFTs versus the Wyatt Six. Like, they're just because they're 2 factions. Again, that's essentially building around the SmackDown tag team titles. Do you know what I mean? So there are ways and means where it kind of feels like, yes, but in another way, there are still big stars that are going for these women's tag team titles. So that's a good thing as well. So there's different elements of what makes this work and not work.
Look, wait till our WrestleMania video comes out and you'll see how I put the women's tag team titles, because it was the only tag team titles that made it on my WrestleMania card. And
I'm not surprised by judging how WWE is doing things. And just quickly, men's Survivor Series tag team match, elimination match, they're doing on SmackDown this week. Could they have not done it on Survivor Series? Could they have not done it? I think it's Sami Zayn, Ray Phoenix, the Motor City Machine Guns, and one other person whose name escapes my head right now, going against the MFTs. And I just think that would have made so much sense. I mean, CD here says, I think it's time to drop War Games for a bit. They've been a bit lazy with the teams, and it's just pairing people up. You would probably say the same with Survivor Series traditional teams. And I like the idea of Survivor Series as a concept. It's one of my favorite shows. It always has been. But I feel like there's room for War Games, but it doesn't always necessarily need to happen every year. And there doesn't need to be 2 on the same show. I think that's where I think a lot of people find the digestive problem, because you have 2 of the same thing on the same night. Same with Royal Rumbles. If you do it as 2-night shows, maybe it's a bit different, but it's always nice if they're spread out throughout the year, I guess. But if you bring in a Survivor Series traditional match from that show, and you bring in, which I think futurely will be on a Survivor Series, by the way, I think the testing the waters in NXT, I think the Iron Survivor Challenge will, in future, be a Survivor Series tool. You've got 3 amazing different match gimmick cards that are on this show. This show instantly feels special nonetheless, regardless of what you're doing.
Yeah, War Games feels at the minute very much like Hell in a Cell pay-per-view. Like, you're booking 3 matches because of the name of the show, really. And it's taken away from, I think, what Survivor Series stands for. I do miss the traditional 5v5 elimination style matches. I think they're a lot more in terms of just like drama. Like, you want to see if someone's going to be a sole survivor. If you want to see if someone's going to be like 5-1 and just beat 5 guys in a row and win. You want to see like 5-4, 4-4, 4-3, 3-4, 3-3, 3-2. Do you know what I mean? You want to see the different variations, and like, it's just an opportunity to, like, if anything, build potential future storylines. And again, yeah, I just think that War Games is like very much treated like Hell in a Cell. Like, you've got 2 matches because it's the name of the show, essentially.
Absolutely. Now, do you remember I came up and mentioned about a match type that in my head, I created it. It was on a video in 2016. TNA then did it, I think, like a year or 2 ago, and it's like the 4-2-1 match or whatever it's called. And it's simply that you start with a team against another team. It's elimination style, and then the survivors of one team go against each other at the end. That was a match that I originally put in a video over 10 years ago on the channel. Great seeing that TNA are doing that concept now. What if, to make War Games more exciting, because it's team warfare and all the rest of it, and people say people are thrown together, why don't you have a title match under that stipulation? Team versus team. It truly is War Games, because it's almost feels like Squid Games, are being brutally honest, the challenge, because you have to work together. They then have to go against each other, and only one person survives War Games and walks out as champion.
I mean, it does work if you have the talent. Like, this year being that exception where I think you could do it aside from, like, I'm not being horrible, but Jimmy obviously hasn't had the rise to stardom this year that Jimmy's had. But you look at the other 9 people in there, including Logan Paul, because that guy's going to be a future world champion at some point. It works. I just don't know if it works when you don't have the star power. Like, for instance, if you tried doing that with the women's teams this year, Lash Legend is nowhere near being a women's champion. Kairi Sane has essentially just been in a tag team and hasn't done anything. Hasn't really achieved anything since NXT, so I wouldn't say she's anywhere at the moment being in that title frame. Bliss and Flair, although they have legacy, they've not done anything all year. At least, like, you don't. They've probably got more of a shot than any others, but you need to have the star power to do that. It seems insane though that you would have like 10 people fighting for like a big title, like a world title, or like a world heavyweight championship, and then obviously, like you said, one team's eliminated. You get down to 5, 4, 3 guys, 2 guys, whatever, and then they fight it out. It seems insane, and I don't think they'd ever do it because they really love it just being a one-on-one match. Like, heaven forbid we have like a fatal 4-way for a world title ever again, because it just seems to be like they don't ever do it. Like, we get a triple threat on a rare occasion for a world title. So anything as balmy as that probably would be a hell of a lot of fun. Is it a reality? I very much doubt it.
I mean, we've had world titles on the line in Royal Rumble matches, so I think stranger things have happened. It's just a case of how it goes. And Nick, you mentioned there, would say they've booked their matches for this year. I'm not saying with those competitors we have in this year. I'm saying if you want to book around it and do it one year to do something different, obviously next year, 2 years, however you want to go. But if you did take the men's one this year, for example, wouldn't it be fun if actually Jay turned heel on Roman during the match to get him out? Say they had like a 4 or 5-on-2 advantage to get him out, to then say, well, yeah, because I know I'm not going to be able to beat you later, so I'm getting you out now, kind of thing, just to play a different. I mean, they could have a lot of fun with it. It could really work.
It would be interesting as well, because you could really mix the teams and have like a heel face mixture of teams, instead of just this is the face team, this is the heel team. Do you know what I mean? Essentially, if you took, say, Braun and Bronson, swapped them with the Usos to the other side, you'd have an interesting dynamic of having these sort of, like, not intergender, but you know what I mean, intermixed faces and heels.
Can they coexist? But yeah, I agree with that. I mean, the thing is, the match in 2016 that I threw on there suggested that, because my inspiration that came from that match was the 1995 Survivor Series, the wild card match, which put good guys and bad guys together as a team on Can They Coexist? So yeah, I completely agree with that last argument that you've made there. We're going long tonight, ladies and gentlemen. We're well over an hour and 9 minutes into this. We've got quite a few questions to go. We've been quite detailed with our answers. We are going to try and catch up with our chat, and we're going to ask you to hit the like button if you haven't done so already. Let's catch up with our chat, and let's see if we can get up to date with everybody that's throwing in questions now. CD says, first class will win those tag team titles at Genesis. It's going to happen one day. The only credible heel tag team, because the Great Hands are just lackeys for Mustafa Ali. CD, we want it to happen just as much for you as we do for first class. It would be very good to see.
I only want first class to win it for CD now, not for any other reason, but for CD.
Literally, we will pop for CD if that happens. Really, really. What we're talking about TNA, Frankie Kazarian win the TNA World Championship is the biggest lol TNA moment. It's Mike Santana's time. Frankie Kazarian's time was 15 years ago. Ouch. TNA seriously needs to step up the game or end my TNA Plus subscription. I still love TNA, but their recent decisions are making me mad. So what was your thought on Frankie Kazarian winning the world title from Mike Santana? I know me and you haven't watched it, but I mean, I've seen a clip of it online.
Yeah,
what were your thoughts?
I've seen the video. I've seen the video of it. I think Frankie Kazarian deserves it just as much as Mike Santana deserves it. I think everyone's just a bit pissed that Mike Santana really should have won it earlier in the summer and had a decent run with it, because I think the impression I get is that he's going to TNA, he's going to NXT. Like, his contract is up. He's signing with NXT from what I hear. Whether it's true or not, I don't know. We'll soon see. But yeah, I understand why people are pissed with it, because it's almost like his title run doesn't mean jack. Like, you've almost kind of devalued the title by doing such a short run with him. And obviously, it being your big title, it probably should have been done earlier in the year. But look, at the end of the day, I think Frankie Kazarian deserves it. He left AEW, went back to TNA, and it's essentially just been a moment of like a not an if, but a when he was going to win that TNA World Championship.
So pleased for Kazarian that he finally wins a world title. I just think the timing was off. I do think the decision is a bit wild, but from what I understand, if I'm going into reports and stuff, Fightful Select, I believe, was the name handle on this. Mike Santana, no showing the tapings, but it's actually part of a storyline. It's not legitimate. I'd heard the same rumor that he's meant to be going to NXT as well. I mean, even if he goes to NXT, he still can go and win a TNA world title. You can see it with Kalani Jordan. Trick Williams has done it as well. So it's not out of the realm that he cannot win it back. Yeah. I just feel in myself that there was a time and a place to do this, and I think it would have been a different time for Kazarian. But at the same time, sometimes with baby faces, it's more fun watching the chase to win a title than it is to see them holding that title. So I suppose it's one of those times we'll wait and see.
Guys.
Potentially. We'll have to wait and see. Yeah. I want to now actually do everything chronologically now so that we don't miss out on any questions. Do you think Tatum Pax's NXT women's title run was pointless with JC Jane getting it back?
No, not really. I think I don't think Tatum Paxley was ever ready for the title. I think it was more of it almost like a moment thing. But I think it was kind of like, I don't know, it almost seemed to be like the testing grounds for Tatum Paxley. Like, here you are as world champion. Let's put a camera on you in a promo segment, see what you can do. I don't know. I mean, like, it got a pop. I suppose it's more of a moment than anything else. I wasn't expecting Tatum Paxley to win. I don't know. Her character just seems to be on this wild ride, like, of where it's going. And like Izzy Dame, I honestly should have been that NXT Women's Champion. So, am I disappointed with the title for a short run? Not really. Am I disappointed it's back on JC Jane? Not really. I mean, we know someone who might be really disappointed that it's back on JC Jane. I'm not really disappointed with it. Like I said, I think the fact that Tatum Paxley won it is a nice surprise. Like, it's not a case. It wasn't a case of like, oh, Tatum Paxley should be NXT Women's Champion, but it's just what it feels like almost like a fan service, but not an unwanted, but like I didn't know I wanted it till I got it kind of Women's Championship run.
I'm going to agree with that. I think we live in a time period in wrestling where if your title reign is less than 6 months, you've failed or you've been buried. Something's gone massively wrong somewhere, and you're never coming back. And I'm not saying CD's saying that, by the way. So CD, I'm not saying that about you, but I see that theory and that sort of ideology
See
from
it.
a lot of a fan base, from a toxic fan base online on places like X, and I think that with
You and me come from a period where the world title would change hands like 3 times in a month.
exactly, but it's true. It's true. And the thing is, it used to pop a crowd. It used to get everyone going. And then, for example, you would see an up and coming person beat a top talent to win the IC title. Jeff Hardy, for example, beat Triple H for the IC title. And then I think he dropped the title back in less than a week later. And it was just a thing of like, it was to get that moment. It was to get someone to raise the stock as well, because Jeff Hardy's stock raised by beating Triple H. But the story needed Triple H to have the title back to progress where he's going to go going forward. This kind of does that in its own different variables here. So let's break it down for the people that we've got. We've obviously got JC Jane, who has really benefited by being NXT Women's Champion. I don't think anyone had her as a 6-month Women's Champion at the start of the year. Hello, the bingo card is looking very different to what we all predicted. Certainly not my numbers, regardless. But anyway, she's there, and now she's she's in the catalogue of 4 women that's held the NXT Women's Championship more than once. That's incredible. Even when she was in Toxic Attraction, Mandy Rose held the title for 300 days. She's not in that club. JC Jane is. So there you are, JC Jane, start of Toxic Attraction. Anyway, different point making here. Tatum Paxley winning this title was a shock value, but at the same time worked really, really well because it was under the gimmick show of Halloween Havoc. Paxley is into that sort of side of things with the character dynamic she has. Yeah, she's into the spooky bollocks. She's also been someone that's been a lost soul and has been brought into the culling, and with Izzy Dane. And it felt like Izzy Dane was going to cost her in the moment that she won the title, but they didn't really play out into the story. And we said, has she cost, has she not? And then Izzy Dane tried to use it to her advantage. She tried to manipulate her friend by saying, you know, you need people to earn these championship runs. You need people to stop like just asking for it and you giving them these title runs. And there was a moment in the build up to Gold Rush. Now, I didn't do predictions for this show, and I kind of wish I had done, but time just didn't allow it. But Tatum Paxley said, I am going to stop giving out these championship matches for free, but I'm going to just do one more because JC Jane, I'm going to do it at Gold Rush. And this is your last chance. The second she said that, she's dropping the title. You just knew she was dropping the title.
Yeah.
And the way they did it, they played the story perfectly because Izzy Dane was going to cost her from winning it. So in the end, she gave her the opportunity, be on our side, do things the wrong way, stop being the good person, being the good guy. And Tatum Paxley couldn't do it, even in the match. So she cost her. Perfect storytelling. And Tatum Paxley built her stock by winning the title. Fans are more invested. Fans are more interested now in seeing her win back the title after this. Izzy Dane's stock has raised as well because she's cost the champion. So she's someone that's in the mix now to win the title later down the line. And JC Jane's stock has risen because she's now a 2-time women's champion. Yes, NXT at the moment, the way they're presenting their top part of the division isn't as strong as what we've seen in the past, but they're finding ways constantly to elevate their talent. And all of their talent that are being elevated at this moment have been there for years. And if they are not elevated now, they are probably not going to be in the company in a 12 to 24 months because they need to find a way to get them to Raw and SmackDown. You've only got to look at a Wesley. I'm a big fan of Wesley. I'm sorry I beat Desmond Xavier back with the Rascals in TNA, but he should have been on a Raw and SmackDown. They never pushed him to a level to get to that area. They're trying to do that right now with Tatum Paxley, JC Jane, and Izzy Dane is fast growing anyway. They're doing a good job of everyone. This worked really, really well.
Yeah, but the thing is they are also repeating the same steps with certain people. Like you look at people like Javon Evans. Javon Evans was essentially Wesley 2 years ago. Everyone was like, Wesley's the guy that can take that title off of an Obafemi, off of a Bron Breakker, whoever. He can carry that brand as NXT champion. And if they don't pull the trigger at some point, Javon Evans won't be here no more. He won't be on the main roster. And for as much as he's having killer matches with Leon Slater, if they don't book him like it, he could essentially just be the next Wesley. Which obviously sucks for him, like the fact that he'd had such a great run as part of MSK, winning tag team titles. Then he had a great run in North America. I mean, the guy should have been on the main roster. He just, I don't know. Like I said, bring back the cruiserweight division because I'm telling you now, it'd be one of the best divisions in the world. Like, you think of the guys that they've let go over the last couple of years, your Buddy Murphys, your Mustafa Ali's. You then had people like Wesley, Javon Evans. What a division to have. But yeah, anyway, I digress. We've had that discussion so many times before. It's like beating a dead horse. But yeah, look, at the end of the day, everything you've said, look at what they've done. They've elevated 3 women by doing this title change. And this is actually what it's about. Because Izzy Dame, I think, should be on the main roster as well. She's been there for so long, and she does great character work. It's finding a spot for her on the roster. And this is a really testing period for her, because I don't want to jinx it and say it, but you could be right. In 6 months' time, she could not be in WWE anymore. And it's a shame, because she does really good character work.
Yeah. And we don't wish anyone to lose their jobs, by the way. Should stress that out there right now. It's just a case of you need to elevate a talent. You need to keep them evolving, because otherwise that's what happens.
Talking about talent as well, did you hear how much Joe Hendry is reportedly on a year? Apparently he's on main roster money for NXT. He's on $350,000 a year. Like, and the guy's like, I don't know what. I don't know. Look, props to Joe Hendry for doing it, man. Because look, that guy's come from literally the slums of England, wrestling in bingo halls. He's been like on Defiant, and he's been on for wrestling for WCPW when that was a thing, and been on TNA, and he's been around the world. And good on him, man. Like, to get there and get that kind of money, props to him.
He deserves it, and he's not going to be in NXT for very long. He's either going to win that NXT title and have a run with it, or he's just going to be in there for a little while until he gets just a bit of the WWE rub under his banner, and he'll be back on the main roster and doing his thing each and every week.
Yeah, definitely.
Bit more discussion on Tatum Paxley. Eric Douglas was sadly lost the belt, felt there was something really special in store. No coincidence that before 24 hours before, her best friend is dealing with a dull personality, Bailey. I think you mean split personality, Bailey. But yeah, still, Lyra was not there, which is an interesting component. Maybe Lyra will come back and try and defend Tatum Paxley. That's another narrative of where this can go forward as well. There are lots of different ways this can play out, and that can also be a path to bring Tatum to a Raw or a SmackDown. If Lyra's not got a lot going on and it's not working out with Bailey and they break up, you've got a tag team, and that tag team division is currently getting showcased in WarGames. There you are. It's not so bad. CD says Tatum Paxley has now the shortest reign as NXT Women's Champion, 24 days. If the match was on week 2, then it would have tied Indy Hartwell at 31 days.
I believe Hartwell vacated because of injury. So I'd like to know who the shortest. CD, if you do know, who's got the shortest women's title reign, not from injury or being released?
CD's the fact checker, so I think he will get there for us. Eric believes that Jey Uso is too over to be a heel. Sometimes the most cheered can make the best heels.
When he stops selling T-shirts, I think is the ultimate thing. When he stops selling those bloody T-shirts and stops getting that pop from that crowd, then he'll turn heel.
I agree. Tom Talks Rubbish in the house. He says, hope you guys are good. Keep smashing it. You're awesome. Thank you, Tom. You are very kind indeed. We really appreciate your support. And he's doing fantastic work on his channel as well. Great new interviews out each and every week. I believe Friday is the day for the release on all his new interviews. Also has generic wrestling questions as well. Myself and NXSteve are featured on 4 videos on his channel. 2 for NXSteve, 2 for myself. So make sure to go check them out if you haven't already. Byron Cutler in the house says, what's up? It's great to have him here. Yeah, he says let's flip in between 3 concepts each year. I think that is regarding our Survivor Series. Yeah, interesting. Noob says, will Kabuki Warriors break up before the year is over or at the start of 2026? That's an interesting question, because that plays into our WrestleMania conversation.
No, I don't think so. Just for the pure fact that what would you do with Asuka and Kairi saying if they're not together in a tag team? I think is probably the most obvious thing.
I think they're going to break up. Right. They are going to break up. I feel they're building it. They're building it. Is when I'm going to say, Noob, to answer your question.
Still waiting for that triple threat.
I'm going to say neither. The WrestleMania video will tell you my exact time frame of when I think it will be. I need to hook you in because, Noob, I think you'll enjoy what I have in store for Asuka on that video. So that's why I'm going to hook you in on this one and not give any more away. Let's have a look here at what I've missed so far. CD says, you can't have NXT team win the TNA tag team titles either. This was going on his early comment with TNA, and White should be first class because Dark State already have beat the Hardys for NXT tag team titles. They're the only team in NXT because the tag team division pretty much only has them and Hank and Tank. True.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point. There is no one else tagging in a minute. That's good because they broke up
OTM,
everyone else.
OTM are there, but they sort of like return, then they
Oh,
disappear for weeks. They kind of got on the Roman Reigns schedule, but just without any sort of fanfare or attraction.
well, OTN the ones with Wesley at one point, or is that who was the guys with Wesley?
Oh, I can't pronounce the names for the life of me, but yeah, I know the two you're on about, but no, it's different.
Yeah, no, whatever I'm to. Oh God. Oh God, there was a. Oh my God, there was a young tag team. Blake Blade. I want to say Blade Malik or something like that.
Yeah,
What was their
Malik Blake
names?
and Anofe.
Malik Blake.
Anofe left.
Yeah,
He's not there
that's
anymore.
right. Yeah, yeah.
So Malik Blake, I'm not sure if he's still under contract, but I believe he is. So yeah,
They were a team that were like they did nothing, put them as a tag team, and did nothing.
Mm,
Criminal, man. Like they were these half decent wrestlers, and they just don't do anything with them. Like I
no.
suppose that's what Evolve's for now. The fact that Nikita Lyons had such hype, and now she's in Evolve because she can't do anything on NXT apparently.
Mm. I'm a fan of the idea of Evolve, but I'm not sure what I think about Evolve titles being on NXT Gold Rush. I know it's good for a showcase and stuff like that, but I don't know. I feel like Evolve should be on Evolve right now. But saying that, I do think Candice Gray should be in NXT because she's freaking awesome.
Yeah, but then you could say the same for a TNA title being on Gold Rush. It's the same sort of principle, really.
It is.
It's just a way to get more eyes on Evolve. But like, does anyone actually watch it? I think that's probably the biggest thing. For me, it's the equivalent of Collision.
Yeah, I mean, if a tree falls in the woods, does it make a sound? Is kind of the vibe, really, isn't it? I mean, look, I'm saying it selfishly because I don't watch Evolve. I'm more interested in TNA and AAA because I make effort to watch some of their stuff. Even if it's not all of it, I will watch some of it. But of course, it makes sense for WWE to do it because if I'm going to ever watch Evolve, I need to have a reason to be hooked in to Evolve Championship matches on NXT next week. Just might be the thing that does it. But somehow feel that I won't have time for it. So yeah, probably won't. But we'll check out NXT Gold Rush Week 2 next anyway. Is there anything you want to talk about before we wrap things up?
There's nothing I can think of off the top of my head that needs to be discussed. Let me just have a quick flick through and see if I can find anything that we haven't maybe mentioned. No, like I said, there's not a lot on there. I don't know. Apparently, there's rumors going around that Adam Cole might be retired.
Yeah, I see quotes from Tony Khan saying it'd have to be a really special circumstance for him to return to the ring again. So I must admit there was a very multi-paragraph article, and I didn't have time to read it at the time. And lo and behold, I've not seen it since.
Ariel Hawani interview.
Yes, that one. Yeah.
Yeah. I haven't seen it. I've seen bits of it. I haven't seen all of it. But yeah, look, man, if you could go back and change time, you'd be like, Adam, don't leave NXT. Just don't. Just honestly stick with it like a year. You'll be fine. Trust me. Triple H takes over it. It will all work out for you. It's just as soon as you got to AEW, injuries. It's that, like I said, some wrestlers are just. I don't know. Don't think can handle that wrestling style. That like, it's probably a lot more physical and a lot more like, oh well, do you know what I mean? We don't do this kind of stuff in WWE, but it's AEW. You can really do what you want, and you're paying the price for it. But yeah, Adam Cole, like, goddamn, 2016 to 2019 NXT is like I saw this earlier, and I had to agree with it. I think 2016 NXT to 2019 is I think for me better than the Attitude Era.
In ring quality, yes. I think when you compare some storylines right now compared to then, because of the time period, I'm going to say yes.
You think about it because you had the Gargano Johnny Gargano Ciampa rivalry. Oh yes, ultimately Vince did fucking ruin the finish of it because he had them tagging on the same show because he wanted to bring them up for some reason. But you think you had the Undisputed Era doing like the Gold Rush, like they were just like they fulfilled the prophecy. They had all the gold. Then you think of certain people like Velveteen Dream, like at the time was one of the most charismatic characters people thought would be like almost like the next Shawn Michaels in terms of it. And then you think of like Keith Lee versus Dijak and their matches that they used to have. Honestly, it's one of my favorite periods in wrestling, I think, ever.
I mean, I love that period as well. I feel it, if I'm being honest, because fans do this, this is what fans will do. We'll always compare errors. I find it hard to compare that to the Attitude Era because of the fact that like things happened in the Attitude Era that
Yeah.
paved and changed the way. Like I can't compare it to
yeah.
I can't compare it to Austin versus McMahon. I can't compare it to Mankind being thrown off the top of the Hell in a Cell. You know, there's certain things and errors, but at the same time, I get what you mean. And the thing is, they're two time periods that are remembered so fondly, and I think that that's beautiful because there are a load of fans that say that after the Attitude Era, everything went rubbish. And I disagree with that because I think that, for one, I really enjoyed the Ruthless Aggression Era. I'd argue that's better than the Attitude Era. You had every big name under one roof, and I think that was awesome.
Yeah.
And some of the 2002, 2003 shows, I think, are highly underrated from people that don't rate them. But like when you go to NXT, like you said, you got to that golden period. I mean, obviously, that Johnny Gargano, Tommaso Ciampa storyline is freaking tastic. It's brilliant. It's I don't know. It just words can't describe how well that story was. But to literally have the no music played for Ciampa, just that heat was just different level. Having him spoil Avengers on Twitter at the time was just nuclear heat as well. I mean, I don't know, it sticks with me. I didn't even watch Marvel at that point, but I knew what it meant.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? To spoil it.
Still, yeah. Just brilliant, man. Like honestly, like people turn around and try to argue who the bit like one of the best heels ever in pro wrestling. It's Ciampa from that period because, like you said, I don't think I've ever seen anyone else ever enter a wrestling match to silence because it pissed people off so much, and he came out to calls of boos. It was one of the best entrances I've ever seen.
It was brilliant, truly brilliant. And there was, like you said, so many great things from NXT around that time period. I mean, we'd be here for a long time if we wanted to go through it all, really. But Black and Gold era is truly something incredible and special. And
even like I said, you think of like we were talking about War Games earlier. You talking about Kevin Owens' surprise as the fourth opponent in the War Games match from 2019. You look at things like the heel turn by Roderick Strong on Pete Dunne when he joined the Undisputed Era. That was that pop was low. Like, I'll even throw NXT UK in there because you think Pete Dunne as UK champion. We then got Walter debuting in UK, like just that period of wrestling. You obviously had Rhea Ripley come up from NXT UK as first, like as one. I think she was the first ever women's UK champion, or she's second after Toni Storm.
Rhea was first.
Right, yeah, and then obviously she comes up through that period. You have Bianca Belair comes up through that period. You have Asuka go on her undefeated run in that period. Dude, there's so much good stuff in there, and even like you throw in like the debut of the North American Championship in that ladder match where Adam Cole beats like Ricochet and EC3 and Lars Sullivan and the guy from Sanity or whatever. There's just so many moments that you can sit there and go, what a fantastic era of wrestling. But I know what you mean. The Attitude Era, look, it's obviously it's appreciated for a completely different time frame, like Steve Austin sticking his middle fingers up to his boss and then stunning him and drinking unprecedented amounts of beer on national TV. And do you know what I mean? You had the music promos alone, like you think about obviously the My Way promo from WrestleMania with Rock and Austin, but then you think of like obviously during that time period as we're coming up, we know songs from pay-per-views better than we know the matches from pay-per-views. That's how important that was in just us growing up. It was just such a good period. But I know what you mean. Like I just think like as well, I think for me though, the fact that I can appreciate wrestling matches now, like I appreciate a 5-star classic, and with 2016 to 2019 NXT, it's just that period where I'm like, I love so much of that stuff, man. And you can obviously go to like New Japan and find that stuff, because I think Kenny Omega was the real sort of turning point in New Japan for pro wrestling in 2016, and I just think NXT just over delivered, and it was like one of the best things on TV.
Yeah, I freaking loved it. I mean, it was such 2016 is one of my favorite years in wrestling, like across the board. Like when you go with NXT, even main roster, when the draft came back in and stuff, I know. I got into YouTube as well that year. That was It's approaching 10 years of doing YouTube, and it's wildly coming up quickly. And yeah, I don't know. It's just something special around that time. But AJ coming in and stuff like that. I don't know. It's just there's so much. I got into Ring of Honor, which I had not really watched before. So yeah, there was a lot going on in 2016. I thoroughly enjoyed. Sorry, I swear, really swore out there. Lucha Underground is amazing. I mean,
I've
storytelling
honestly
101.
never seen of it. I've seen like snippets of it. Like I've seen like Penta or whoever like doing like 450 splashes off the top of like stages or whatever. But I've never watched an episode. But I know you obviously have a very big fond loving memory of Lucha Underground.
Get through season 1 because I didn't start in season 1. I did the classic thing like I did when I watched Friends. I started in season 2, and the good stuff hits him really hard in season 2, and in season 3 is freaking amazing as well. Season 4, there's not the budget. The budget's gone, and you can just see there's a huge difference. Yeah, so that's kind of that's when you can see Lucha Underground is going to go. But yeah, the first 3 seasons in particular are decent, but particularly seasons 2 and 3. I mean, you say you love the NXT from Black and Gold era. I mean, you're watching all those people you're watching now on Raw and SmackDown every week, and AEW. They're all in this area here, and just so good, so good. And some of them are in their prime there because some of them now are aged in the big companies where they are not aged there. So yeah, it's must see.
Reclusa versus Pentagon match. I need to see the full. I've obviously seen like the TikTok highlights or the YouTube highlights, but I need to see the full thing.
Yeah, I mean, Io Sky is in there as well with a match with Penta as well. So there's so much.
Is it like Penta versus like 3 women or something, and Io Sky is one of them or something like that?
Yeah, I feel like Kyrie could be one of them as well, but my memory isn't as good, so it's not a guarantee with that. But yeah, Io Sky definitely is one of them. Yeah, just so amazing. We need to do a Lucha Underground rewatch. That would be awesome.
Wow, yeah, definitely. Yeah, if we can if you got it, I'll watch it, man. It just might take me a while to because the only problem is like obviously trying to learn who everyone is, and obviously I'll be sitting there referencing them as their current names rather than what they're actually are. Like I'll be calling Reclusa Chelsea Green.
Yeah, that's fine. But for the people that have not watched it, that would work quite nicely for them. So that would be quite cool. 2 comments, then we'll wrap up here today. Byron says, Iron Survivor Challenge become my new favorite match type. I love it as well. I do think, though, it has the same feeling as all the other ones where it can get stale. I don't think you can get better than the Trick Williams 4 falls in the last 90 seconds to win the match. Can be topped.
Yeah. It's the penalty box thing I think they need to work on for me. Like, they need to make it, I don't know, just more aesthetically, rather than just like Michael Cole's Perspex box when he was, avoiding everyone else from back in the day. Because that's essentially what it is. It's just a Perspex box.
You never beat the Rumble, but this is, as a new match type, this is hot. I do enjoy. Deadline is a show that I really look forward to every year.
It's hard to find new match types in wrestling that will like keep your attention as well.
And this one has, and I think it's the 4th year for it now. So credit to them for doing so, for getting this one over the line. I do think it's a future main roster one as well. And pay-per-view songs used to tell a story. What happened? They certainly did. And do you know what? Saliva Always, which was Survivor Series 2002, and funnily enough, one that stands out for me, and I've not even watched the show back yet, and you've all voted for it. Survivor, it wasn't even the one I wanted, but it's a bloody good Survivor Series. Survivor Series 2001, Puddle of Mud Control.
Oh, what a tune. What a tune.
Hang on the tune. Can't wait for it. That is coming next week. It's coming next week, along with Survivor Series predictions as well. Oh, it's going to be all Survivor Series now from on this channel the next little bit going forward. It's going to be a fun little time. There will be some shorts. There'll be AEW Full Gear predictions as well in a shorts format. I'd love to have done a predictions live stream, but unfortunately time hasn't allowed me to do 2 of them this week. You all voted for the Q&A tonight. I will fix the shorts video for you tomorrow. And yeah, we got a WrestleMania video coming out as well, which I've promised NXSteve when we recorded it nearly 2 weeks ago. And funnily enough, one match feels outdated, but we still have said in this video we predict it's still going to happen. So we don't think it's that outdated just yet.
Hey, most of my cards probably already outdated, so I wouldn't worry about it. I even left one off by accident because I'm a bit of a dunce when it comes to remembering my own match card.
Do me a favor. We'll put the graphic over this end of the video now. So just say that match now for us, and I can clip it and just throw it in.
It is Liv Morgan versus Stephanie Vaquer for the Women's World Heavyweight Championship or WWE Championship. One of those two. I can't remember which title I picked now.
For the Women's World Championship, Liv Morgan, Stephanie Vaquer, there your pick there. I'm guessing then Liv Morgan is your Royal Rumble winner or wins the chamber?
100%. 100% wins the Royal Rumble.
Once the bridesmaid, finally the bride. It would be a great way to have Liv Morgan back in the picture.
Definitely.
Absolutely. Well, there you are, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you all for watching. We're nearly an hour and 40 minutes in, so that's our time to bugger off. Thank you for watching. Look after yourselves and each other. Keep an eye out for more videos on the channel. And do me a favor, if you're still watching, because there are somebody still watching, I see you still there. I see the number count. Tell me in the comments, what do you want? Not like in life. What do you want from the channel? Do you want more shorts? Do you want more live streams? Do you want more 10-minute content videos? What do you want? Let me know. I'm open for suggestions. I want to know. Thanks for watching. We'll see you for the next one.